Hey everybody, welcome to Chiustream. Really great to have you guys, and you know what? It's great to be back, and I'm here with the one and only, the very talented, multi-talented Masae Seki. Hey Masae,
Hey
how's it going?
guys, hey Bobby, it's pretty good. Early in the morning, ready for this Chiu stream.
That's the best way to do it. Early in the morning, get all that, get those juices flowing, creativity, positivity, and just overall enthusiasm. So, hey everybody, and of course, welcome to the first timers, but also welcome to the regulars, all the true Chiu-tensity, Chiu streamers, whatever you want to call it. I appreciate you, and it's great to be back. So, I have the wonderful Masae. She's going to be taking a look at if there's any questions for me. As always, why don't we do a little roll call? I'll give you a little shout out there. Why don't you let me know where you're from, and I'll give you a shout out. So, Alzuth has the first question. It's a super simple question. Ballpoint pen? Yeah, I wanted to use the crappiest, the cheapest thing I could find to do a, drawing where everybody's like, yeah, okay, but he's using that kind of a pencil. I don't have that kind of a pencil. I don't have that kind of a pen. Well, this time, it's like a 10-year-old Bic pen. It's just a pen drawing, and did start off with a little sketch to help me progress as I go forward. So, big shout out to people in Chile, Florida, New Mexico, Quebec, Hong Kong. Wow. Right on. San Francisco, Ireland, Dallas, Texas. See, this is why I love doing these streams, It's
All
just like
over the
people from
world.
everywhere. Brazil. Wow, Brazil. I wonder how things are going in Rio. All my buddies in Rio.
The Olympics.
Hope everything's going nice and smoothly for you guys. Georgia, Sweden, Malaysia, Paris, Philippines. Miss the Philippines. Netherlands, yeah. Atlanta, right on. Whole bunch of people.
Wow, Macedonia.
Macedonia, right on. That deserves a nice shout out as well. So, welcome everybody, and I want to also give a big shout out to everybody that's going to go to the Copenhagen workshop in September. September 3rd and 4th is the Schoolism's Copenhagen workshop, and I want to give a big shout out to Jesper Edgsing. Jesper I hope I'm pronouncing that right. A lot of the more like Scandinavian, Dutch countries, the pronunciation, I gotta apologize. I am not good at pronouncing people's names that well. Jesper Edgsing, wonderful, amazing, incredible artist, does a lot of beautiful illustrations, kind of like in the whole stream of Magic the Gathering, which I love. Oh my goodness.
So good.
And he, obviously he has done Magic the Gathering and continues to do it. Incredible artist, as well as Wouter Tulp, my buddy Wouter, amazing, crazy amazing character designer. Chris Sasaki, talk about character designers, Pixar's own. I believe he won the Annie this year for character design. Yeah. Andrea Blasic is going. Karl Kopinski is going. Nathan Fowkes, as a few of you may have heard. Nathan Fowkes, the one and only. Wow, that's going to be epic, and nothing but talk in Copenhagen about this workshop. So Schoolism is super excited to go there. Also, we have the New York Comic Con. That's happening October 4th and 5th, just before the New York Comic Con. So, combo it up. Stay for, come for the workshop, stay for the Comic Con, or vice versa. That's going to be incredible. It's going to be with Thomas Fluharty, Michael Knapp, a lot of new people, and that's what I love to see. It's always this awesome quest, for Schoolism, for myself to gather all the best knowledge in the world. So we got Michael Knapp from Blue Sky, Mike Lee from Blue Sky, Carla Ortiz
Oh
Doctor
yeah.
Strange, holy smokes. Peter DeSev, who is one of, maybe two or three of the top character designers in the world. Honestly, like, for people that have been there, let them know how it is in the chat, because it is such a kind of lifetime opportunity. I kind of equate it to, like, when I was younger, I could have went to a Michael Jackson concert, and now I
Yeah.
can't. So, like, you gotta go when the iron's hot. You just gotta do it, and the ones that do, I consider those guys, like, really like the 1% out there of the artists that are that hardcore enough to travel in for great knowledge. And not only that, but it's a gathering of the 1%. I feel, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
everybody that goes is just so incredibly inspiring for me to meet as well, and the incredible things that they've done. Mike Yamada, for example, Disney artist, concept artist, production designer. Even he has been to some schools and workshops when he wasn't teaching.
Oh yeah.
Just
in
to
Montreal.
learn. Yeah, it's amazing. Eric Canetti, all sorts. So
It kind of goes to show how, like, even the best people, the top people in the industry are still learning, and, that's what's most
absolutely,
important.
that's such a good point, Masae. It's like something that I try to live by and I try to spread to others, is that life, you know, life is the ultimate course, is the ultimate schooling, and school is only like one page out of the whole textbook of life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a crappy page too for a lot of people. Education out there nowadays, there's some good education. There's definitely some really good education with some really good schools out there. But then there's a lot of really bad education. So we're trying to fix that with schoolism. And our whole entire mission, my whole entire mission, is to take the things that have really helped me throughout the years, help my career, and to teach others, make it accessible for other people. And the people that I meet throughout the years, make them accessible to others and to teach others. I am so sorry about the shaky video, by the way. It's a gooseneck monitor, or a gooseneck iPhone holder that was clamped to my table, my drawing table. So as I start drawing a little harder, the camera shakes a little bit, okay? So
Things get more intense.
yeah, that's what it's talking about, like, that's so funny. Right on. So, yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Masae, let me know if we have any questions yet as well, and we can both kind of, jump in and answer them.
So I guess we have a first question from Joel Santana. What advice do you ever have from someone with an idea that's bigger than their capabilities from a technical standpoint?
From a technical standpoint, well, there's the resources standpoint. Do you have the resources to get it done? And then you have the technical standpoint. So, well, technical standpoint, I kind of think of that as knowledge, right? Do I have the knowledge to do the thing that I want to do yet? But the other kind of standpoint is, do you have the resources? Do you have the knowledge to learn? So you got to make sure that you have that first. And let me kind of shed some light here, because this is a question that I thought about quite a bit when I was starting off. I didn't know how to paint.
Hard to believe.
I liked my painting teachers, wonderful people. However, you gotta kind of realize that this is a point in time where digital painting is brand new. It's still pretty darn brand new. We only had 3 computers for like 90 some odd people. So the people messing around with digital painting, like myself, we were part of that first wave. And many teachers, a lot of times, not all teachers, there are definitely some really great teachers that are constantly improving themselves, constantly learning, but there are a lot of teachers that kind of get cushy Don't be that way if you're a teacher. Because you have this secure job or whatever you might think. The world keeps changing.
Yeah.
If you're a teacher, you have one of the most important jobs in the world. So you got to keep on the bleeding edge of things, you know? So I didn't have that knowledge just yet to, be able to paint well digitally. Well, you can't stop there.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that every super successful artist has in common, is that if life doesn't give them what they're asking for, they don't stop. They don't just stop and complain about it and give up. They keep going. They keep looking for it, right? And that's what is even more important right now in these couple decades, because the whole world is changing so rapidly. So rapidly. Apps, video games, movies, everything has been changing so quickly that you have to have this mindset of being on this never-ending quest for knowledge, because you can never get all of it, and to constantly look to improve and to look for knowledge that doesn't even exist yet. Don't stop. Keep looking. Sometimes you might even have to invent it yourself. So that's what you're up against. But at the same time, you know what? It's absolutely super doable. It is so doable. It takes hard work. Yes. Does it take a lot of hard work? A lot of times, yes, absolutely. You need to get really crazy with it. And most people will go through a period of time where they are just obsessed about learning, obsessed about trying to figure something out. But is it possible? Absolutely. Prime example is if you go to, if you look up Schoolism subscription group on Facebook, and you check out the people that took, say, Dice Tatsumi and Robert Kondo's painting with color and light course, they're phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
All these students, before and after is absolutely insanely different, insanely advanced, and that I find to give me hope, give everybody a lot of hope. Once you see that, then okay, yeah, gotta bust through this. Same thing with Tara Whitlatch. Oh man, her course is so, it's advanced. It's the hardcore thing. It's not like if you haven't done all these hours of study about animals and whatever anatomy, then it's not for you. It's absolutely for you. This is how it should be taught to begin with. So even if you are a student or if you're a professional, take a look at the other professionals and the other students and the work that they've created from it. You gotta look for the other artists that have taken the things or read the things that you are thinking about reading to gain that technical knowledge, or classes to attend. And then try, the best way is if you can see before and after. Then that makes it much more thoroughly kind of planned out what to take, what not to take, because you could go to a school that has all these amazing artists there, perhaps, but then you get there and you see, yeah, they're all amazing to begin with, and the ones that aren't good don't advance. Is that the kind of school that you want to go to? Maybe. But is that the most effective, most logical school to go to? Probably not, because people aren't advancing. Long answer to a short question.
And many more questions to come. That was a great answer, though. So Gloria asked, what inspires your drawings, paintings, character designs, and style? I guess in general, what inspires you?
Life, totally. Why I travel so much is to feed my creativity, is to feed my life, and to inspire me more and more. I could see things just dribbling into my drawings and into my art as I experience different things. Like, for example, I don't know why, when I'm in Paris and I start painting in Paris, it's just not the same kind of drawings that I'll do when I'm
Mm-hmm.
in Toronto. And that's a wonderful thing. And Masae, you've been with the studio now for how long?
I think 10 months now.
10 months. And you
Yeah.
traveled a bit. You traveled
I
quite a
did.
bit.
And it's the most I've ever traveled in my life, actually.
Altogether?
Altogether, I've only been to New York, Japan, and that's pretty much it. And that was like in total 4 or 5 times. And
Oh.
this year I've already traveled 5 times, 5 or 6 times.
Well,
to
you
the-
went to San Francisco
San
with me.
Francisco, San Diego. Last year I went to Burbank. I went to Montreal.
London,
A bit of London, and then Stockholm.
Stockholm. Wow.
Yeah.
And plenty more, I'm sure. It does take time out of the schedule, but it takes time out of the schedule to sharpen your pencil. And that's what it is sharpening your spiritual pencil for the soul.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, seeing the culture, seeing the people, and also the other artists that I got to meet at the workshops, like I never would have experienced ever if I didn't get out of my little bubble in Toronto. So I think, just even anywhere, even within like Ontario, it would be like, experiencing life.
I heard this really great little super quick phrase that just stuck with me. I kept thinking about it, and that was the truth is found in knowledge. The truth is found in knowledge. So you will never know the absolute, like, what is the absolute truth here until you have all the knowledge. Now, before I went to Brazil, years and years ago, I'm a little, embarrassed to admit that I didn't know much about Brazil. I thought it was all, there's going to be a lot of soccer players there. There's going to be a lot of models there. There's going to be a lot of UFC fighters there. But then you go there, and then you meet the people, and then you meet the artists. Oh, man, that is one of like the best reasons to travel, because I go to these places, I meet all these different people, I see all these different things, yet something is the same, which is the artist community. That hunger, that passion, that connection with me, just because we do the same thing. We have the same passion, right? And knowledge is power. So go out there and get that knowledge. And the other thing is, last thing about getting out there and just meeting people. You don't have to travel across the world. Just go out and meet all these different people, whoever you can. Whenever you're at a bus stop, in an elevator, talk to people, and just practice your communication skills. But at the same time, when you start learning from different people, especially people from different cultures, not only will one become less ignorant, right? They will learn tons of things that they never really thought about with, whatever culture. But it'll make us more of a rounded person, because you see how different people do it. And then you think about how you do it. And then you decide, well, yeah, maybe I like how they do it. And then you adopt it. Some things you don't like, and you don't adopt it, and so on and so forth. So you're gaining all the best ideas from all the different wonderful people from the different locations and cultures. It's awesome.
Yeah, traveling's just, and meeting people is just like inspiration itself.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Art is just the excuse sometimes, I think.
It's a great excuse, I would say. Okay, so the next question is from Leonardo. Hey Bobby, how hard do you think it is for people that works traditional to get jobs as a character concept artist, or in general in the industry, since all I see is digital?
Leonardo, well, if you're doing oil painting, I would rethink the strategy. Depends how long it takes you to do stuff, really, and how long does it take you to do revisions. Because as a character designer, it's like surprising almost. It is completely surprising if I don't get any revisions and then something's just approved right off the bat. So if a person has a red hat and then you all of a sudden need to make it green, well, that's when digital painting really, really has its advantages. So you can absolutely do it. I believe in you. I believe that, pretty much everybody, all their, like a majority of their goals are absolutely achievable. Mm-hmm. If you look at Kim Jong-gi, I'm sure he does digital painting somewhat,
yeah,
but I know he does a heck of a lot of traditional drawing, right? And I'm sure he does not lack work, right? So there's always a way, and the main thing is that don't follow the footsteps of people that keep failing at it. Try to figure out what made that person fail, what made this other person succeed, and try to kind of guide your path that way.
And I feel like doing traditional is great also because if you already know how to use the traditional tools, then if it transfers into digital, it's probably a lot easier to understand, like color and mixing and what works together.
Yeah, definitely. There's many things to learn from different mediums as well, just in general. Let's just put it out that way, like working with pastels versus working with watercolor versus working with acrylic or oil and, so on and so forth, pencil and all that stuff. Everything has something really wonderful to gain. And then through digital mediums, because within the digital medium you have all these different tools again. So much of that can be transferred into the digital medium, so go out and explore. And actually I'm working on a video right now, and it's going to be all about different ways of different tips about drawing in black and white, and I'm going to be using many different mediums to do so. A lot of my favorites.
Awesome. So the next question is from Adriana. What do you think about CTN Expo? Do you recommend other events?
You know what? Wow, CTN has been getting a lot of attention lately. I like CTN. I do. I love the event. I love going to CTN. It's my people. It's not a Comic-Con, which is also my people, but it's like much more concentrated because it's my animation peeps. And it's also this wonderful kind of once a year thing where everybody gathers together, almost like a weird high school reunion, so we can all chat and see each other, right? But other events, Comic-Con, the mother of them all. San Diego Comic-Con is huge, not just for networking and meeting people, but financially as well for many of the vendors. That's their thing. That's the one. Then there's stuff like Seattle Comic-Con. Awesome. Went there for the first time. Really great people. Really great event, really great crowd, and a lot of really great artists, a lot more in the gaming aspect of things. Trojan Horse, gonna be going to Trojan Horse, I think that's next month. Trojan Horse was a unicorn, THU. It's another workshop, kind of like the Schoolism workshops, but I hear it's almost like a rave / workshop, which that sounds really interesting. I'm really psyched to go there as well. And you know what, and it's totally, like I said, it's not about that you have to attend Schoolism stuff. A lot of these questions that people ask me and things like that, these are questions that I ask myself, so I try to find the solutions by creating Schoolism, by creating workshops and things like that to fulfill my own needs, my own wants of what I would like to see in an event. But there's other people that do wonderful events as well. One of them being Andre from THU. Never been to THU yet, but I've heard a lot of really great things. So I'm looking forward to meeting a whole bunch of people from there as well. And then, of course, schoolism workshops. Hey, I put my reputation on it. You go there, you will be learning a ton. You will feel like we are cramming knowledge down your throat until you're oozing knowledge out of your ears, and not only that, but you're going to meet some really great people as well.
Awesome. So Archers asked, I'm traditionally trained for years. I'm wanting to get into character design. I don't have a lot of cash to purchase software or tools to learn digitally. Any suggestions?
Yes, absolutely. Character design, okay? So if it's live action kind of characters, really, really highly rendered, then I would still recommend, you know what, bite the bullet, get the Adobe Creative Cloud or whatever it's called, get Photoshop, the subscription, right? But if you're really strapped for cash, I would go to things like apps. There's like some apps that I was using for like tablets, which were fantastic, like Sketchbook Pro, Tayasui, thank you so much. Arigato.
Pretty good.
Tayasui Sketches Pro, that's fantastic as well. And then one of our schoolism instructors, Jonathan Hardesty, he uses some software that I've never seen before. I've never used before, but maybe because I haven't heard of it, maybe it's on a lower price point. Procreate, a lot of people use Procreate as well. I've heard a lot of good things about that. Yeah, but bite the bullet, get prepared to be frustrated. Get prepared to, not draw to what you think your potential is for a good while, and have a contingency plan for when that happens. When you start drawing bad, what are you gonna do? Okay, look for those moments, prepare for the failure, so to speak, but it's not really failure, it's just kind of starting to evolve, Realize that, accept it, and keep moving on that way.
And in the long run, it'll be worth it as well.
It's always worth it.
Yeah.
If you truly put in the effort 100%, you'll never feel like it was a waste of time. Even if it's something that you don't end up doing, you're still not going to think it's a waste of time, because at the highest levels, everything is everything. Everything becomes everything. It's so weird like that. Everything becomes art at a certain level, from gardening to the butcher. At the highest level, it's an art form.
So moving on to the next question from Raymond. When can we expect Ian McCaig's course on schoolism? Oh, and do you have any tips when you want to draw but you don't know what to draw? Thanks.
Right on. Ian McCaig, it's one of those super hard to pin down, to get to teach and stuff like that, but is also one of the best. So I'm working on it. Ian is, of course, extremely busy, so it's like any other schoolism course. I have no idea. The thing about trying to gain not just the good knowledge in the world, but like really, that's not my mission. My mission is to try to gain the best knowledge in the world, the absolute best. And a lot of the key holders of this amazing knowledge are people that are very hard to get, and a lot of times it takes years for me to get them to do a class or whatever. But don't worry, because your buddy Bobby doesn't give up, all right? And I'll stay on them until hopefully something happens, right?
Yeah.
So I can't really give you an absolute answer on that, but I can give you a good answer on your other question is, what do you draw? How do you draw when you don't know what to draw? And my answer for that is just like the stream just before this, it was a very very spontaneous stream that I did on the weekend.
Oh yeah, I tuned in on that.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, just for a bit.
Oh, thanks. That's awesome. Yeah, just start drawing. What I did was I just turned on live stream just to show you guys, and just start drawing. Get all the dirt out of your pencils, kind of thing, where you are expecting it to be bad. And I didn't expect any of those drawings to be good. I just drew on loose leaf paper, one after the other, not even in a sketchbook, because I wanted it to feel like scrap pieces of paper almost, and just drawing one drawing after the other. Mm-hmm. Don't stop your pencil. Just keep going. Start making shapes. Start making just absolute abstract whatever. And put your timer on for like an hour. You might just have only one good drawing at the end of the hour. You might have 0. But that's how I start off, and it's so effective. It always leaves you in a better state than when you started.
Keep drawing. So next question is by Myriad Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. For someone who knows how to draw but not how to paint, how do you recommend to begin painting? Any book or course?
Ooh, good one. Okay, I'll start off with books. Andrew Loomis books, maybe. I don't know. You know what? But for painting, I have a few. Digital painting. On Schoolism, there's Andrew Howe's course, Introduction to Digital Painting. And then there's my course as well, Digital Painting Techniques, which are both for anybody, for professionals or beginners. It's really about learning how other people do things, not about how to learn the ultimate way to do whatever it is you want to do. And I gotta put in there, Daisatsume, Robert Kondo's course. They used to be art directors at Pixar until they quit and started forming their own studio and creating their own stuff. And then, within that year, they were nominated for an Oscar. These people are the true movers and shakers, and their course, I can't say enough good things about their course. So that would be that would definitely be a recommendation. Now, that one will be very challenging for people that are drawers, but you gotta stick with it. If you want something to ease you in a bit more, then honestly, I would actually suggest my own course. And I'll tell you why. It's because I came from that same kind of background, drawing heavily far before I started painting. And so a lot of my techniques and my way of thinking comes from drawing traditionally.
I think Jonathan Hardisley's class, when I took it, really helped me understand about values and colors.
Oh, yes, of course.
That one's a great
Jonathan
one.
Hardesty. Essentials of Realism.
That was great.
So before that, I know you're more of a drawer in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And now you've been learning the painting pretty heavily.
Yeah, and getting some help from your course as well. That's been pretty good too.
Thanks. But yeah, Jonathan Hardesty. Wow. Not only, it's so hard to find Jonathan Hardesties in the world.
Yeah.
Because not only do you have to be a fantastic artist, but you have to be a fantastic explainer of things, and being able to do it in a somewhat entertaining way. And he does all three.
Yep. Really well together.
Sorry. One more thing. Sorry to interrupt. But also James Gurney's book, Color and Light.
Oh yeah, that was really good. It doesn't necessarily teach you how to paint, but it teaches you
the theory. Yes. Gobble them all up. Make your life that never-ending quest for the best knowledge in the world.
So Alzuth asked, what is your opinion about material preferences, like digital, traditional, oil paint, etc., etc.?
My opinion is be a moving target. Keep shifting around. Go through your little periods where you are obsessed about whatever it is. Pen. Then another one, another bunch of months or whatever, you're obsessed about drawing with a pencil or oil painting or the kind of oil paintings that you do. Gather up your interests in bunches. That's what I think, and have these stages in your life where you're consciously trying to obsess about some aspect of art, right? And be obsessed about it for a few months to truly absorb and to truly transform your thinking and your art.
Next question is by Chow Y Kit.
Y Kit, right on. What's up, Y Kit?
Planning anytime soon to have Imaginism workshop in Singapore?
We've talked about it. We're still talking about it. We're still trying. Okay, Y Kit? So, hopefully in the future, never say never, but don't let that be the thing where you're just like, yeah, I could have went there, I could have did that one, but I'm waiting until Bobby comes into my backyard. I know that's not what Y Kit's doing, but it's, you just got to be there. You just got to go to experience it, to understand why it's so important to regularly go to events like that. Feed the soul, artistic soul.
And you never know who you'll meet to make great connections as well. So the next question is from Sharon. Hey Bobby, Masae, are studios in Canada or the States likely to hire people from other countries? I'd really like to move, but I don't think I can without knowing if I can even get a job.
Right. So, okay, two different ways, right? One way that I've seen that really works is, or that works, not all the time, but, works, is you get your knowledge together, you get your techniques together, you get your skill level up to that level where you're a bit above the average or higher. Save up a whole bunch of money and take the dive right off that cliff and go to those places. And before you go to LA or whatever, take the time to talk with people from there. Start creating relationships with those people and online commenting or whatever. If your stuff is that hot, then it's even more kind of reason that they will comment back as well. I know that's a very superficial thing, but that's also kind of naturally, that's kind of life, right? So you're creating relationships and everything with people and starting to talk with people there, starting to do research with the studios there and things like that. Why? Because you're trying to create a bridge from your life right now to a life that you want. If you don't constantly try to create that bridge, it's going to be a nasty transition, right? Because you're not going to know anybody there and so on and so forth, and it's going to be really, really difficult. Yet still doable, okay? The other way, which is the way that I kind of went, was I just tried to get my chops up so much and just focused on the internet presence to get my art out there and my name out there and so on and so forth. That is great because that's much lower risk. It might take you a bit longer, but also when your skills are already like there and people still don't notice you, and you keep going and you keep getting your skills higher and higher, by the time they do notice you, because they will notice you at some point, if you get your skills up high enough, people will notice. That's just how it goes. The world will notice. If they notice you late, it becomes even more of a big thing. It becomes more of an explosion of attention on your stuff. So don't fret if you don't get noticed right away. right? And that is the longer way, but it's also very effective. I live in Toronto, Canada. However, I've definitely had more than a few offers to live in LA and things like that and live, on location.
Yeah, and you know what? I've heard a lot of more recently about success stories about just having an online presence and being noticed and like landing great jobs. Like I have a friend who was he kept up his online presence and eventually he got a job at DC even though he lives in Toronto. Yeah, so online presence is super important. So the next question is Crystal asks, any tips for how to apply traditional painting skills to digital painting?
Yeah, that one's more of a very straightforward one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with any tool, with any medium, there's like these core things that you want to like just know in the very beginning, right? You want to know how to blend things, how to give something texture, how to kind of like an order of how to do things, and depending on your medium of choice, you might want to know like how is the material going to take your ink or whatever it might be, if it's watercolor or something like that. But after that, then you'll start to make these really great connections of, well, I do this in real life, like in traditional drawing or painting. So this function in this software kind of can make that happen for me. Like for example, another video that I'm going to be putting out is my setup, how I begin a digital painting, which is going to be like these really good tips. Actually, that comes out on Thursday, so sign up for the newsletter if you aren't already signed up on the newsletter. If you like free tutorials, free tips, free videos, twice a week, that's what the Schoolism newsletter is all about. It's not about just promoting stuff. I want to make every video valuable enough that people will actually want to keep them even in their own folder or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So Gloria asked, how do you deal with failures and artist blocks?
Gloria, failures, I kind of deal with them in the sense like I'm a scientist, and I'm trying to make something successful. Each drawing, each painting is a different experiment. You're not going to get it right on the first try. You're not going to solve polio on the first try. You're going to have to put your time and effort into it. And think about it. You're using a two-dimensional piece of paper or screen. You're using some, colored substance, liquidy substance, and you're using a stick with some hair on the end, mixing it up and applying it to try to create an illusion of this beautiful, amazing, fantastical world that doesn't even exist. You think that's easy? Heck no. That's very difficult. But of course, I want to remind you, it's all very doable. You just got to put in the effort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Callie Lefave asks, I recently realized that my style doesn't do well or fit into a fandom I really love. Would you recommend switching up my style or continue with my own?
Forget your style. Forget about it. There's many different ways to do everything. Okay, so I'm gonna just talk about what has helped me the most, and I'm gonna tell you why it's helped me the most. I used to search for a style. I used to search for this ultimate style nobody's ever seen before. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be so hot. Like people are just gonna fall on their face when they see it. Never happened. then I just said, you know what, I'm not going to look for this style. I'm not going to be on this quest for this amazing style. Instead, I will be on a quest for knowledge, gaining knowledge. And that's what ended up creating my style. So do the same. When you start gaining knowledge, like say instead of trying to design this car and make this car that nobody's ever seen before, the best car in the world, say instead of that, you learned everything there was to learn at Toyota, everything there was to learn at Honda, everything that there was to learn at Bugatti and Lamborghini and Ferrari and like VW and everything. What kind of car do you think that person's going to be able to make? Something absolutely breathtaking, amazing, perhaps even world-changing. You know, it's all about the quest for knowledge, and then the style will come. And when it comes, man, people will notice. Because why? We were talking about this a little bit the other day. One of the best things about art is that it's a display of your knowledge. In one aspect, it's this wonderful display of your knowledge, right? You show a drawing to somebody that knows a lot or whatever, they can see if you know a lot, right? They can see your mistakes where you don't know something. And so to create a great style, if you go and just forget about your style and you just search for knowledge, then your style will naturally come. It will. And it will be based off of immense amounts of knowledge, which, you know, people will react to.
Yeah, and it helped me to work like harder and do, you know, find more references for my paintings and drawings. And it does change your drawings or paintings in general, like the feel of it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, you know, like something that is interesting. A lot of people, they see that duck painting in some of my videos and stuff, like hang on the wall, like in the corner. And that painting was done by Nathan Fowkes, right? And I might have this totally wrong, but as far as I remember, he told me he spent about 30-40 minutes planning it and only 5 minutes to paint it.
That's insane.
You know, that's really cool. That's really insane. That's really cool because it shows this extra amount of respect and importance for preparing. Preparing well can change everything. I also read, you know, and by the way, if I prepared well for this drawing, I would have moved this deer away from the silhouette of this girl. It pains me to watch this part because I'm totally ruining the silhouette here. But at the same time, you know, it's just a rough. It's just a little, you can see how big my fingers are. It's just a tiny little drawing. So perhaps when I paint it, if I do have some time to paint it, I'll move the girl. But yeah, when I was in college, I read about this thing where this person created this portfolio to get into Disney, right? And it was this animal portfolio. So, and then she wrote, for the first 2 weeks, she just studied like horses, say, right? Or monkeys, or whatever it might be. And when she would draw the monkeys, she would only just draw the torso, rib cage, or, you know, sorry, the torso and the head as different boxes, facing in the right directions, you know, the more optimal size for each particular element. Like the skull was a box, but the box was sized so that it would best represent the skull, and one to represent the rib cage and the pelvis. And she just did that for like 2 weeks. Then the next 2 weeks, she just did loose gestures of the same animal, going to the zoo, and you're just studying one animal, right? Then the next week, her 5th week, Then she starts to do these drawings of monkeys or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that preparation not only helped her really kind of ingrain the proportions of whatever it was that she was studying, but it also gave her a month of just studying behavior of animals, because animals, they tend to, they might seem to be hard to draw, and yeah, they are, but they only have a certain amount of poses, really. Like when you observe them enough, you're like, yeah, okay, it's going into a resting pose, it's going to an alert pose, and things like that. So after a while, you start to really notice them and ingrain them. And when she started to do her final drawings, and her fifth week, those drawings were the only drawings that she actually put in her portfolio. That those drawings were at her absolute potential, I feel. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's what got her in. She could be the exact same person drawing with the exact same skill level, no preparation, and then all of a sudden have a portfolio that's denied by Disney.
Mm-hmm. Knowledge is power. So next question is by Nedad. How do I grow as a business and studio but still spend most of my time drawing and not managing?
Good luck with that. Well, you would need somebody to manage. If you have a studio, you're going to need somebody to manage. Mm-hmm. How do you grow as a studio? Find a reason to grow. Okay, again, this is my own opinion about things, but we've seen it time and time again when a studio or a company, all their focus is about growing. It can be very dicey. It could be very dangerous. My first objective is not about expanding and growing as fast as I can. It's about stability. How do we make ourselves really stable in this industry, with this studio or whatever it might be? Then perhaps your next objective is to grow. But I try to only grow out of necessity. And I try to focus everything on stability. Stable for the studio, stable for the artists that work in the studio, and everybody that works in the studio, of course. And let that be my main focus. If you really want to grow, you have to take the time to spend on training people, right? Because the worst thing to do is think, okay, yeah, I have a studio, I'm just going to hire a bunch of people, and then they're going to work in the studio as well, and then everything's going to be hunky-dory. It's going to be smooth. It won't happen. No matter, if you take a great employee, a great artist that was working really well at one studio, you take them, put them in another studio, all of a sudden, you might get a completely different outcome. I've seen it time and time again. It's about the leader. It's about the organization in charge.
The next question is from Naomi. Hi Bobby, I'm 5 days out from going to college for animation.
Hey, congrats.
Do you think it is better to wait until your work is the best it's ever been, or apply for a job every year as your art improves?
Second
one, yeah, for sure.
You know what? I don't think I've ever hired anybody that just applied the first time and I just hired them. Whether it's for, a job or for a co-op or intern or assistant or whatever, I don't think I've ever hired anybody just right off the bat. The only person I can think of is actually Rochelle, right? Mm-hmm. Rochelle, we hired her because I already saw the attitude that she had, for learning and just life in general, and it was impressive. So the other thing was that she attended the schoolism house, right? The schoolism house workshop where you're staying with us, with Thierry Lafontaine in the schoolism house for 30 days learning from him. All the skeletons of your personality come out. It's either, well, you can see whether or not you want to work with somebody after 30 days of living with them. So that's the only person. That's how I saw. Actually, no. Xuan is the other person in Singapore. Yeah. Same thing. Came from the schoolism house. So really got to see what kind of person this person is. Yeah.
Yeah. And have a good personality.
Yeah, and of course Masae. I'm gonna tell you how we hired Masae. I told you no the first time.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even know if there's a second time I told you no, but I definitely told you, we had a great meeting, great interview, everything was great, but the timing was off. So I said no, And then you were cool with it. You were still smiley and everything. Next time we met, like, you didn't hate me, because that's like one of the things I don't like about hiring people is like, you do a bunch of interviews, you're going to deny most of the people, and how are they going to feel about you afterwards, right? So when I saw you again, you're just as bubbly, just as nice, and after that, I was like, yeah, we should call Masae back up.
Yay.
And that has happened over and over and over again. So, long answer to short question again, but think of it more as whatever job you want to get, think of it more as, okay, I am willing to get 10 horrible rejections from this studio before they hire me. That's what I expect. Anything less is a bonus. All right, and start the process now. Apply now. And every time you apply again, don't do it in the same way. Try to think, how can I improve? How can I approach this differently?
Okay, so next question is from Mai. Hey Bobby, can you share some experiences or advices about how you work in the beginning of your art career?
In the beginning of my art career, I was so militant, it's probably like the best word. I was so militant about my studies, about my time. There was nothing else important to me. It's just all work, trying to improve. Thank goodness I met Kay Asadera. She really influenced me to learn that you can work hard and have fun and live your life at the same time, and it was like she's the one that really taught me that I need to sharpen your spiritual pencil, your inspirational part of you by going out and living your life a bit.
The next question is from Maria. Hi Bobby, I'm looking for a job and I don't mind to move anywhere. How difficult do you think it would be to find a job for someone from Spain in America?
Life is difficult. Everything's difficult. And everything I feel is very doable at the same time. Okay, so, and why did I draw this deer behind this other deer? It would have been so much better if I drew this left deer in, kind of in front of that tail. So that way they're together.
Yeah.
But, okay, anyways. What was the question again?
Maria's looking for a job and she doesn't mind moving anywhere, but
yes.
How difficult do you think it would be to find a job for someone from Spain in America?
It's difficult, but it's absolutely doable. It is absolutely doable. You just gotta think to yourself, do I want it that bad? Am I gonna put in the effort? And the effort really comes from, first, understanding your situation, okay? the last thing that I would ever want to do is have somebody move over here to Canada. I hire them. They're from Spain or whatever. And then they don't gel with the rest of the studio. All of a sudden that person's moved here, and now, it's either we part ways, and now that person's stuck here, or I'm stuck with that person, right? So personality is very important. You gotta start to build those bridges, through your transition from one life to another. Start talking to those people. Start targeting certain companies that you want to work for. Start creating conversations, and don't just start with one. Try to start relationships with a few of them, and at the same time keep it very personal. Like, you're not gonna get a good response if it's just this generic cover letter that's talking all about you, and I can't tell if you know anything about our studio or not.
So research is really important.
Research and targeting.
So Julian asks, will you be at THU as a speaker?
Yes, I will. Julian, absolutely. I'll be there for one talk. I'm going to give one talk that's going to be, I think, an hour, 45 minutes. And then I'll be sticking around for the rest of the time. But I just want to hang out. I just want to hang out, watch other people's talks, and just meet people and have fun. So if you see me there, let me know. And I'll try to bring some fun free stuff for people that stop me and mention the Chiustream or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, so Ars again asked, most job offers usually ask for at least 5 years experience. So how do you start a professional career when a lot of jobs are asking for so much professional experience?
Don't believe them.
I think that's what they write in a lot of
yeah, absolutely, of course.
applications.
Because if they didn't write that, how many more applications they would get, and then what would be the quality of those applications, right? Hey there, I just watched Frozen, and I want to draw princesses as well. Here's my, application. I have a really, very energetic spirit and all this stuff, and I'll learn so much from you guys, and I'll benefit so much from working with you guys, and I'll, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So they need these kind of gatekeepers to protect them from, tons and tons of way too many people applying. That's the impression I get, because I've never experienced anything like that where people were afraid to hire me or whatever because of my experience. It's all about your skills, and if you can really shine with your skills, people will give you that chance. I guarantee it. And of course, don't be a weirdo, because that can harm things as well. Even if you have really good skills, if you're a weirdo, I don't know, it might be harder.
So the next question is by Toby Art. Where did you learn to traditional paint? I'm having trouble finding local classes.
Toby Art, hey, what's going on? I learned how traditional paint, in school, and it really stunk. All my paintings really stunk. And then I took Tom Flaherty's course. He teaches oil painting, and I did that and applied it to acrylic painting, and that was the biggest step up. There's been many little steps along the way, but I can definitely tell you his course is awesome. He teaches oil painting in the Dutch Flemish style, or method, I should say, which is tried, tested, and true.
Okay, awesome. So Bumhee asks, will you be at the workshop in Japan this year? I hope to see you again. Bumhee, he's from Seattle.
Oh, really? Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Oh, was
Yeah, from Korea.
the person that joined us for dinner?
He did.
Right on,
I think
right
that's
on.
him. Yeah, it's Bumhee. Cool. Workshop in Japan this year.
I don't think
we're not gonna.
I don't think we're doing one this year.
Hopefully
in the future.
we will have a workshop in Japan.
I think the only thing in Asia this year is, well, we're doing like some private workshops, but the only public workshop in Asia this year is gonna be like Dubai, like Middle East, right? Which is epic and amazing and one of literally my favorite trips of last year.
Yeah, Dubai's gonna be awesome, and we're announcing that in a month or two, I think. Soon.
It'll be less. Yeah, it'll be within a month.
Yeah.
We'll be selling tickets for that. Oh, by the way, I want to mention, for since we're always talking about learning and things like that, Schoolism, it has the subscription version where you can subscribe for $180 for a whole entire year right now. That's really great. It's very affordable. But we also have the premium courses, right? The premium courses, the teacher that teaches the course, not only are you going to be doing watching the lessons and doing the assignments, but your teacher would also be drawing over top of your stuff. That is the premium level courses, very high end, and super, super effective. On the 15th, we're going to be opening up 4 Schoolism premium courses, very limited seating. One of them being portfolio submissions will open up for Terrell Whitlatch's class that I mentioned earlier. But if you go to schoolism.com and you go to the bottom where it says news, tips, and freebies, sign up for the mailing list and you'll be in the know when it happens, because they do kind of go fast.
Awesome. So the next question is from Julian. Hi, I wanted to attend to Louis Gonzalez's gesture drawing classes. Does my anatomy level have to be extremely good for attending this class? I can probably answer this question since I'm taking it right now. You don't need to know a lot of anatomy. It's more about, I would say it's more about getting the feel of the poses and the gesture. So it's nice to have some knowledge in the anatomy. It's not 100% required for taking this class. So I would say if you have the time, it's learning something is always super beneficial for yourself, but it's always good to know a bit about like how the bones are connected or how the muscles work, just to give the pose a bit more realisticness. But it's all in the feel of the pose. So yeah, I hope.
In other words, and just dive in. You know what I mean? Like, just because you might not know all your anatomy and stuff like that, you're still gonna gain like insane amount of knowledge and skills just from taking the class. It doesn't mean that, say you took this class and then you took an anatomy class afterwards, you think that the gesture drawing class would help your anatomy class? Of course it would. What do you have to learn first? You can learn either.
Yeah.
It'll all end up in the same, you'll end up in the same destination in the end if your whole entire goal is to constantly just search for knowledge.
So the next question is from Leonardo. Hey Bobby, many studios ask for a few years of experience for all the applicants, and for artists that don't have this 1 to 3 years that studios ask for, any tips on that? I guess we kind of went over that.
Yeah, we went over that. Ignore that. Keep working on your skills. Keep coming back. Keep, developing that relationship. And if you do it right, you come back every time differently. And you're in your hearts of hearts, you are ready to get 10 horrible rejections from them. You will never get 10 horrible rejections from them. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. So Joseph asks, I struggle with perspective. Is that a good goal I should seek to improve? For example, drawing 50 boxes in perspective a day?
Yeah, and don't just practice blindly. You can do that and you can improve and you can learn stuff, but it's the longer way to go about it. Look for good perspective books. Look for great perspective courses. I know that Scott Robertson, he's the king of perspective, or one of them anyways, and he has a really great book. I think it's just called How to Draw.
Yeah, that one's a good one. It's great for perspective. I think I studied it for a month or so, and it really changes, especially even for character designing, knowing where to place the feet or how the perspective goes away and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's the shortcut. The shortcut, the secret, secret pipe in this Mario world of real life is that might be over the heads of a lot of the younger viewers, but it's all about learning from other people that took years and years to learn whatever it is they learned. It'll only take them a fraction of the time to explain it to somebody else.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is from Mai. I was basically a character designer. Now I try environment to make concept art, and I was kind of stuck. Any tips for character designers how to learn about background concept?
Again, I was just fastest way, look for somebody that's teaching that. And fastest way is if you can have that person explain it to you in a lesson kind of thing, give you an assignment, and have that person go over top of your stuff. Now, if this sounds like a Schoolism premium course, that's exactly why we have the courses like that, because it's like night and day, the results that you'll get. And not only that, but if you can imagine that that your favorite artist is going to be actually looking at your assignment, whatever you hand in, painting on top of it, and so on and so forth, you're going to take your art to a whole nother level of seriousness. I know, because I take the classes as well under a pseudonym, so they don't know, and how I feel when I want to hand something in, it's on my mind for the rest of the week. Craig Mullins gave me an assignment to do when we were testing out his kind of his premium class. That's all I could think about for the whole entire week.
Awesome. So Rachel asks, hey Bobby, how'd you get your first job at 17?
How did I get my first job at 17? Well, there's a little lesson in this one as well. So I was working in the warehouse of this toy factory, a toy company. They make toys. I'm fixing toys and bringing them in and so on and so forth, moving boxes. But on my lunch hour, I wouldn't spend it just sitting there eating lunch or whatever. I would spend it in the art department, learning this new software called Adobe Illustrator. Wow. And then, Photoshop, this program I never used before, Photoshop, right? This Photoshop 3 at the time. And so one day I was, bringing a bunch of boxes, right? And doing grunt work. And, they seemed really busy. I just spoke up. I just opened my big fat mouth and I said, "Hey, I could help. Are you guys, you guys need any help? I could help." And then the person that was teaching me all the Photoshop stuff looked at the art director person and asked her, or told her, "Yeah, you know what? Let him try. I've been teaching him some stuff." If I never asked, I never would have gotten it. And so I got an opportunity to, show my value. And then after that, they let me stay. And that's how I got to start designing toys at 17.
Yeah, that's where everything started.
It's where everything started. That's when I started working on toys for movies, right? Like Bug's Life and Lion King 2 or something like that. Simba's Pride. Something you probably never heard of. And Batman and Star Wars and all this stuff. And got completely hooked and was like, I don't want to just work on the toys for movies. I want to work on the movies themselves.
I guess looks like...
Yeah, why don't we do one last question, I guess?
Or maybe go through a couple?
Okay, let's
go through them.
Yeah, speed round.
Speed questions. Okay. Janine asked, for newbie artists, any tips on how to get online commissions or freelance work online? I'm considering this because she's in the Philippines and there's less opportunities for artists.
Just work on your online presence, and after you get a certain amount of followers, if you have 1,000 followers, probably one is gonna, want a commission from you. Now, if you have 100,000 followers, then all of a sudden you're pretty darn good. You put up the idea that, I can take however many commissions now. It's just don't saturate the market before you're even in the market. You know what I mean? Like, scarcity is something that will move people. So if you go, of course, this has to be the absolute truth though. But if you go, well, I only take, 6 commissions in a year. That helps. That helps you get more commissions. If you feel like there could be like 10 commissions out there, then I would just open up 5 spots. Grow that demand, because a lot of art, unfortunately, is perception as well. Everybody says that that's good, that's valuable. It's the same drawing with the same pencil on the same paper by 2 different artists, yet one is worth tens of thousands of dollars and one is worth 0. And demand is definitely kind of connected with perception. All right, sorry. Okay. Next question.
No worries. Christelle asked, do you think it is realistic to specialize in more than one category in the art industry? I have a mixture of skills and interests in mediums or fields. Yes,
absolutely. Take one at a time. Don't try to become the master of whatever it is you want to do in multiple disciplines. It becomes way harder and I think much less effective. Take one at a time, really, really get a handle on one before moving to the other, and you'll have a much better time with it, and your career will be much more successful because of that.
Okay, next question from Leonardo. Bobby, when you say you worked hard at the beginning, could you put in the numbers, like hours per week? I know there's people working 100 hours a week. How's the best way to balance for you?
I didn't work, like if I was to do it again, I would work extremely hard as well, but I would have more balance in my life. I tried to really push things way too far. Setting my alarm for like 3.5 hours later, every time I went to sleep. Night turned into day turned into night. I didn't know what was going on anymore. But I was putting in tremendous amounts of time. Was that good? I don't think so. I don't think that was good. If I was to go about it again, I would look at my life and look at everything that I spend my time on and try to find the gaps in between. What are the things that I could totally do without that I've been doing, like wasting my time? So especially the in-between stuff. So you go from one task to the other. What are you doing in between? Right? Are you, oh, I finished something. I'm going to ask 8 people. What do they think? What's their opinion? You don't need to ask 8 people. You maybe ask like 1, maybe 2. That's it. You know, move on. Maybe not even. And just keep moving on.
Yeah.
That's a big one. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so Jibun Kyo asks, hi there, just a general question. Should an artist invest more on his or her personal type, personal style, or go with what's hot and people are looking for in the moment?
Don't go with what's hot. If you go with what's hot, you are a follower. There's nothing wrong with being a follower, so to speak, but that's not my style. You know, search for knowledge and art will take care of you. I'm telling you, people. That's what it's all about. You know, search for knowledge. One thing that you could kind of follow is like the trends of technology, because you want to always show whatever it is you want to show where there's people to actually look at it.
Yeah.
And people, they go from one thing to the next, you know, like it used to be, back in the day, it used to be all about conceptart.org, and they killed it. They were the place, the top. And then it became CG Talk, which became CG Society, and DeviantArt, of course, is always a monster. And now DeviantArt, it seems like they're still big, but it seems like there's less traction there. There's less people.
Down.
Yeah. And now it's more about ArtStation, and you want to stay on top of these things. You know, Instagram, stuff like that. You want to know where the audience is. Yeah, let's go to the next question.
Crystal asks, hi Bobby, what is one habit that you keep doing daily and that you will never give up doing no matter what?
I think meditation. So good. You know, meditation, I feel like it's necessary if you're trying to live a very high level life, high octane life. If you're already just living a very comfortable, cozy, slow, chilled out life, then I don't really think you need to really meditate, because you're kind of meditating all the time. You're not running at high speeds. But if your life is extremely busy and you're always trying to push things to their limits, you need to definitely have this cool down method. And I'm not a person that naturally like to meditate, and I'm still not good at it, but I do it every day, because that's the time where all that emotional crap, you know, all that pented up energy, or, you know, just like always thinking go at 100%, that's when all that stuff can be released and kind of dissolved through meditation, through finding peace and stillness.
Okay, so Etienne asked, I wanted to know what would be a good tip for someone who's starting to build these channels again for portfolio connections, etc., because he's changing his name.
Be consistent. Be very consistent. You know, you're starting off. Consistency is a huge thing. So have a target of how many posts of what you're going to post in a month, or, you know, as an example, and pursue it and try to make it as consistent as possible. Same day, same time, even if you can. And respond to people. Connect with people. Don't be a robot. Don't freaking tag me on your image so that I'll look at it. I just wanted to state that, because like, there's been just more and more people doing that, and it's like, yeah, I might glance at your art, but I already kind of despise you for doing that, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so let's make this the last question.
Okay.
Monica says, hey, I would like to ask Bobby about what he learned from other schoolism teachers about teaching. Are there any techniques you borrowed from them that help you pass your knowledge and help others?
Every one of them. I am a result of all the schoolism teachers. I feel I am a Frankenstein of all their brains. hopefully one day I can get to the same levels that they get to, and hopefully they feel the same about each other as well. I think that's definitely a very healthy way to look at things. But yeah, I've learned from every single one of them. Steven Silver, how he's so energetic and so passionate for spreading the knowledge. Dai Satsumi, Robert Kondo, for having this aura about them where you do not want to disappoint them. Right?
Yep.
When you meet them and you start talking with them, they could be absolutely joking with you, smiling and everything, and it's like you are so serious about like wanting to please them, and for some reason. It's amazing. And how they're entertaining, not just passing on amazing knowledge taught in a very concise way, but they do it in an entertaining way, which is something that made me really rethink everything and how I do things. And many, 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 many more. And that's it, right? That's all the questions we're going to do today?
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you to everybody out there for hanging out and asking your questions, and I hope we did a good job. As always, our mission for the studio really is to gather all the great knowledge and all the great knowledge that has helped us and spread it around to the world. So if you want to help the art community as much as I do, spread around the things that you've learned, okay, in this stream or whatever. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure the community will as well. Hope to see many of you in the Schoolism workshops in the future. Definitely something to experience. If you haven't picked up a Schoolism subscription, you should. I'm not just saying this because Schoolism is created by me, but how we structured it, we wanted to make it a no-brainer. Learning from all these amazing artists that I've been mentioning, and it's $180 for a whole entire year. That's $15 a month. $15 can't even buy you that James Gurney book, Color and Light.
Yeah.
And you can switch courses anytime you want. It just costs you $1 to switch, and you can switch as many times as you want. So if you don't have one of those, a Schoolism subscription, go to Schoolism, get one, do yourself a favor, and then let me know. Let me know if it stinks, because if I tell you, let me know that if it stinks, I won't hear from any of you, because it doesn't stink. It's awesome. I use it. Everybody uses it. And let me know if you love it and which courses you found to be very helpful and why. All right. So till next time, this is Bobby Chiu
And Masae Seki.
signing off. All right. Take care, everybody. Have
Bye,
an
guys.
awesome day. All right, everyone. So if you like the video, you want to learn more, you want to improve as an artist, highly recommend clicking over to Schoolism, signing up for the newsletter, because in this newsletter, you will always get free videos and tutorials and news about Schoolism so you can keep up to date with what's going on in the world. Click over now, and I'll see you guys next time.